The past week for mobile gaming's been a little rough, with the World Cup stealing most of the spotlight. New releases definitely slowed down, and let's just say, thankfully, that's behind us, although it did really have to dig very deep. Hello friends, this is Mobile, and today we're checking out 20 more new mobile games you absolutely need to try on Android and iOS. So first of all, there's a big one. Silver Palace disappeared for a couple of months and now it's back in a huge way. In fact, developers reopened the spotlight with a closed beta and signups are still live until July 16. Even better, it is in fact the first real chance for players to finally get hands on with probably the most promising RPG in development right now when it comes to mobile games. Silver Palace does still look like it has everything going for it. The Victorian open world is just gorgeous, a stylish combat, detective investigation elements, and Unreal Engine 5 that just honestly looks closer to a PC game. If the beta lives up to the trailer, I think this could end up being one of the biggest launches in 2026 or in fact we've ever seen on Android and iOS. Definitely one to watch. This, on the other hand, is what happens when you throw vigilance and football together, coming out as just pure arcade grind. For those of you who missed it, Cars Royale takes the old one more match feeling and turns it into a full-on vehicle fighting arena where like every hit can change a win to a lose very quickly. The game's not about driving or driving fast, it's just about timing your rockets, your weapons, smashing balls, defending your side, and pulling off these ridiculous last-second plays because every other good player actually does. It's a pretty simple idea, instant fun, and the kind of game that just makes you say, fine, I'll do one more round, like way too many times. It's a free game as well. Down to number 3, we've got Plants on Fire, which is a hell of a wild mix of just ideas that somehow work together. The story is it takes the classic tower defense, throws in deck building and some merging, and also auto chess mechanics. All that to just make every battle feel like a sort of a mini strategy action puzzle game. Like you're not just placing plans and waiting, but building combos, upgrading squad, and trying to outsmart the other players. It's a pretty quick game, the plant designs are pretty fun, there's a surprisingly good amount of strategy hiding behind it. If you like games where your decision can completely change the fight, this one's worth checking out at least. Coming in at number 4, we've got Abyssal Soul. I'm gonna say this is basically Slay the Spire and Dark Souls' sort of love child, and honestly, that's a pretty strong pitch to begin with already. The game is a roguelike deck builder for mobile specifically, with this almost super grim Bloodborne style of this whole universe of its own vibe, and a combat system on top that actually tries something new instead of just copy-pasting every other card game on mobile. The game's out through the final beta, due out globally next month, sooner than you think. I personally cannot wait for this one, to be honest. It's like a mobile game pretending it escaped from a gothic AAA console RPG and made it over just as casually as possible. Check it out in case you missed it, the game's online. Down to number 5, here's the thing. If you're into dark fantasy MMO games, Ungodly, which we mentioned probably countless times on this channel, is just one of the games you must keep an eye on. It has an old school action RPG vibe where like every fight looks heavy instead of flashy. The world is just bleak to the max and the combat rewards patience instead of just butt mashing. Definitely one of those projects that could surprise a lot of people if it sticks the final landing. It's been in the making for a long time. It's finally out through a third beta and the full game's coming out just this week. Not to mention, Ungodly is actually coming from the same developers behind Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, so it's in pretty good hands as well. On another hand, at number 6, we've got this dinosaur sim game, Mesozoic Dawn, that actually understands this fantasy pretty good. First of all, this isn't the kind of game where you're like just running around as a dinosaur. It's about surviving like one as well. Really, literally. You start pretty small, pretty fragile, basically everyone's lunch, then little by little grow through hunting, nesting, breeding, and eventually evolving your own bloodline. The survival systems go way deeper than expected here. There's things like injuries, climates, territory, and even AI dinosaur companions you need to survive. Suffice it to say, if you wanted a proper prehistoric survival game, this one's actually a pretty neat pick. Originally an $8 paid PC game that's actually been out for over a month now, number 7 we've got Royale, which is sitting on the Play Store thanks to its developers for free with controller support and also offline play. The game's a bullet hell with a sort of a smooth gameplay, some decent variety of elements, and a solid art as well. The story is you've just got to stay alive as long as you can, move around really quick, collect coins from these fallen enemies before time runs out. In fact, that little time pressure adds a pretty fun layer of intensity to the game, but the game in its current state needs some good amount of polish. Definitely worth a try for a free game, but it's also got a lot of room for improvement. Geo or Yima Kalama, I'm gonna say is not a typical idle game where you just watch numbers go up. There's actually some strategy going on here because of this 30 slot battle system where like hero placement and troop combinations change entire outcomes, which you've got to manage very carefully. It really feels more hands-on than most games in this genre. The dark fantasy is nice, progression is generous, and there's plenty of PvP content to keep you busy as well. If you like idle RPGs, but at the same time you want something that makes you think a little bit, this ain't. On another hand, at number 9, this actually might be one of the craziest ways to twist football in a mobile game. And in case you missed it, FIFA Heroes takes football and says, what if players had superpowers somehow? And the result is this 5v5 match where like one teleport, one power shot or clutch ability can just completely flip the whole game. Like, it's not trying to replace normal football games, it's just pure arcade madness. It's pretty good, almost perfect for just when you want goals and zero waiting around. For those of you who care, iShow speed's in there as well. Besides, you can build your own hero squad, learn their abilities, and eventually hit matches that feel more like an anime battle than like a regular football match per se. Now here's the thing, guys. Going now to number 10, we've got WWE Generations. Eras collide. I would say it's not your typical WWE game, where instead of button mashing and fighting, it's sort of a turn-based role-playing game where building the right team matters just as much as the wrestlers you collect. The coolest part, I would say, is just mixing these old legends and newer superstars into some dream team that could never happen in real life. It's also packed with a ton of fan service, plenty of progression. If you're a WWE fan who enjoys collecting characters, this is an easy recommendation as well. Twin Shot at number 11 is, I'm gonna have to say, one of those releases that just feels like opening like an old Flash game from your childhood, except everything's also been rebuilt for modern phones as well. This game's finally out as of this morning, sitting on stores with a rating of 5 out of 5, and it's all nostalgic without the outdated gameplay mechanics. Also a pretty good reminder of why Nitro games were so memorable to begin with. This remaster sort of brings back the classic Angel Cats. There's like over 200 levels now. It's got improved controls, 60 FPS, new content, and even local multiplayer for up to 4 players as well. The game, in case you missed it, is a pretty simple bow and arrow platformer with a bunch of little surprises here and there all the way. At number 12, we've got over here Tomb of the Mask. If you've never played it before, Netflix just gave you the perfect excuse, and it is finally out after a week of wait and announcement. Tomb of the Mask is a retro sort of arcade hit that's already been downloaded hundreds of million times over the years. Now it's back as a premium Netflix release with no ads, no energy systems, and no use of usual mobile nonsense getting no. Pretty simple game to learn, surprisingly hard to master, and probably one of the most addictive arcade games mobile's ever produced. It is, you could say, one of those timeless little gems. Down to number 13, we have Alien Evolution Kaiju. Basically the classic eat and grow formula with this pretty fun kaiju twist. You know, you begin as a tiny little alien organism, you get to hunt these smaller creatures, absorb their DNA, and bit by bit evolve into a beast of a monster that sort of wrecks everything on sight. The progression system feels pretty satisfying because you're like constantly unlocking bigger forms. Pretty simple game, it's addictive for sure, and it is the kind that's perfect for killing time without overthinking anything. I'll be honest, This one caught me a little bit off guard because going into it, I sort of thought it's gonna be like another hill racing game. But after just a few runs, I started replaying some tracks just to have more fun with it. The game's a pretty good clone inspired by hill climb racing games, and what's even better, it's like entirely offline. The driving itself has an easy to learn, hard to master feel as well. Every new vehicle changes how you tackle the hills. Nothing revolutionary here, but it's the kind of offline game that's way more fun than it has sort of any right to be as a free game. Going down to number 15, we've got Cookie Run Classic. Honestly, really nice here, just seeing the original Cookie Run making a comeback instead of just getting buried behind other games. The gameplay, as you can see, is just still simple as ever, just jump, slide, collect jellies, and trying to beat your best runs well. But that's also exactly why it's just so easy to get hooked on. What I'm trying to say is that if you grew up with endless running games, this feels like just nostalgia, and if you're new, it is a pretty good polished old platformer that offers a surprisingly good amount of fun for a free game.
Calm the hunger.
Any of you here familiar with the game Shawarma Anomaly? Bizarre, creepy horror game that came out a little while ago? Now, we've got over here Anomaly Butcher Shop, which is another one of those weird indie horror games that just somehow ends up being way more entertaining than it has any right to be. So, the story is you're working the night shift at a butcher shop, of course, taking orders, cutting meats, serving people, etc., until things obviously start getting really strange and bizarre. It's one of those just creepy little low-budget mobile games. It doesn't take long to finish, but if you do enjoy oddball kind of horror games with a good premise, this one's at least worth checking out. At number 17, Afterglow over here might single-handedly be like the most underrated release of 2026 so far. Not even kidding. This one's actually a very interesting idea behind it, which is it ain't trying to trap you in like endless grindings like most MMOs do. You just log in, set things up, make some progress, and then just let the game do its thing while you're away. It's an MMORPG. It still has PvP, player-driven economy, and plenty of depth, but at the same time without demanding your entire day and attention. If you wanted a MMO that actually fits a busy schedule, this open beta is definitely worth checking out. It's a free game as well. Don't let the cuteness fool you here, because Pew Pew Plants gets very chaotic very fast once you hit the challenge. It's a pretty casual merge game with the pretty simple loop, which is you merge these identical plants, stack upgrades, and watch this garden turn into an absolute bullet factory. You could say it as a classic just one more run feeling that roguelikes do so well. Definitely inspired by games like Vampire Survivors, but the plant fusion mechanic gives it enough personality to stand out. Pretty easy to pick up, pretty addictive as well. Going now to number 19, we've got Waterfall's Grandfather. I would say this is a kind of horror game that doesn't rely on jump scares, which we do get one of these almost every day. Instead, it sort of slowly gets under your foreskin. Like, you're exploring this abandoned Irish boarding school as a Vatican priest, solving this mystery while something stalks you all the way through these, hallways. The atmosphere is easily the best part. The sound design, the settings are pretty good. Use a headphone if you've got one. If you like slow burn psycho horror games that focus on immersion, I would say don't sleep on this one. This game knows exactly what kind of players it's targeting, and if you've ever looked at an idle RPG and thought, why am I even upgrading 17 different stats all at the same time while all I want is just bare damage numbers? Then you see Undying Hero basically is build its entire identity around that idea. Like, you're constantly unlocking stronger gear, hitting harder, etc. It's definitely not trying to reinvent the genre in any way, but it's also that part of the charm. Sometimes you don't want a complicated build calculator, sometimes you just want your power attack to go through the roof, and this game offers plenty of that.
So you like dogs, Wouldn't you be happier with a bigger...
Now look guys, this is one of those games that looks ridiculously simple at first, then before you even know it, it steals like an entire evening of your life. Like imagine Suika, the game, crashing into Balatro, then replacing all the fruits with dogs. You keep merging pops into bigger pops while stacking score modifiers, synergies, deck building bonuses that turn into a puzzle of optimization later on. The minimalist art gives it a ton of charm, but the real hook is chasing high score. Pretty cute game, it's clever, addictive, honestly one of the more original deck builders that is actually heading to mobile this month. Now at number 22 we've got Faction Pack Battles, which looks like an auto battler, but it's actually smarter than that. It's a real-time strategy where, like, before the battles start, you're gonna have to rotate your gears, managing your backpack space, and denying your opponents key items in this shared sort of draft, where every match feels sort of like you're trying to outthink someone instead of just outlevel them. And on top of that, this dice-based combat adds a bit of luck and a little bit of randomness to it. Pretty good game, I would say. If you're into games like backpack battles, this like almost 100 times better. At number 23, if you have in fact played any other older Vex games, well, you probably already know what you're getting into here. It's just fast, brutal platforming that punishes mistakes before you even make them. So Vex 9, though, keeps that same addictive formula but adds in new mechanics like a jetpack. It's still all about perfect timing, reflexes, and learning from failures. It's a pretty simple concept, really crazy challenging gameplay, and just one of those games that's incredibly satisfying once you finally clear a tough level in your journey. Going down to number 24, we've got Spooky Dude's Dungeon. So don't let the name fool you though. This is basically a mix of Granny and Hello Neighbor, where you're in this dungeon searching for keys and supplies, while there's this very annoying monster that reacts to noises, all the noises that you unintentionally make. So interestingly, you can sort of tweak your enemy speed, trap difficulty, and unlock modifiers that overall change how each run plays. It's sort of a challenging game depending on how you feel about it. Pretty simple game, it is tense, surprisingly replayable as well if you're into indie horror games as well. And last but not least, we've got over here Last Age Survival. I would say if you've been waiting for a new zombie strategy game to sink some time into, well, this might be it. Like, if you like games like State of Survival, and you will probably feel right at home with this one. Besides, here in this game, teaming up with other players to survive is actually where the fun really begins. And yes, it also follows the old classic survival strategy formula, but the production quality is pretty solid and there's always something to work towards. Thanks for watching, I really hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again tomorrow.